Good morning, good morning, good morning, family. How's everybody doing this morning? Hoping y'all are doing well. I know it's early, so a lot of people are not even up yet. But due to my work schedule, I'm typically up nowadays between 4 and 5 every single day, which includes the weekend. So I'm praying that everyone is blessed and that you've had a great week. So I just wanted to share a quick word with you all as I'm sitting here waiting on my mom. And I wanted to talk to you about the looking glass, about your reflection in this season. So one of the things that God has really been working with me on is my reflection. And when I say my reflection, I mean that God has really been working with me on seeing the things about myself that need change or that He's trying to change. And so many of us are so afraid of our reflections. We are able to be a mirror to everyone else, and we can talk to everybody else about their reflection and the things that they need to change and the things that we see in them that need to change. But when God holds that looking glass up in front of us and He begins to show us things about ourselves that need change and things about ourselves that need work, we become really proud and almost rebellious, because it's like, oh, who, me? God, no, not me. And God is like, yeah, you, because none of you are perfect, but you're so busy trying to help everybody else fix themselves, and you've not taken an adequate look at what needs fixing and healing on the inside of you. And so many of us are in a season where we find ourselves frustrated because we think that we should be further than where we are, or we think that we're ready for our next season, and we're like, God, when are you going to promote me? Or God, when I feel stuck. I know for me lately, there's been this almost this sensation of just kind of coasting in this level playing field. And I remember getting so frustrated the other day, and I was like, God, what's going on? I don't feel myself moving backwards. I don't feel myself moving forward. I just feel myself coasting in this same place. And God is like, okay, so now that I have your attention, and now that I see that you're getting a little restless because you feel like you're just kind of stagnant, now we can talk about some things. There are some things in you that still need work at this level. And before I move you to your next level, we've got to work on these things. And so it's always such a frustrating experience when God begins to pinpoint. And y'all, sometimes God does not just point at one thing at a time. Can I tell y'all, God done pointed at a whole plethora of things that I need to work on just within this week. And it gets really frustrating because sometimes we get in a rush to fix all of those things at once. And God is like, no, it's a process. I want to work on this thing right now, and then maybe next week or next month we'll work on this other thing. And so what we've got to learn is we've got to learn to be patient. We've got to learn to humble ourselves and be teachable. We've got to learn to be thankful when God points those things out, because one thing I know, family, is anytime that you're chasing promise before you completed the process, it's going to minister death in your life. Anytime that you seek to get the end product before you adequately gone through the process, good morning, Sister Katrina. Anytime that you seek the promise before the process, it's going to minister death in your life. And we've got to understand that you can't, because if you've not gone through the process, you're not ready to contain the promise. You're not ready to receive or hold the promise. And that's what God has been working with me on, because lately I find myself, and we do it not even knowing, family. We do it unintentionally just because of the generation we're in. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants elevation. Everybody wants progress, but you've not gone through the process. And so sometimes we're running ourselves ragged. We're running ourselves down because we're chasing the end product, and we're wondering why we can't seem to grasp it, why we can't attain the things we're chasing. And God is like, because you're trying to get the promise before you've gone through the process. And so you're ministering death in your life, because now you're frustrated. Now you want to give up. Now you're tired. Now you're wondering if serving me is even worth it still. Now you're wondering, what is it that I'm doing? When the reality is you are ministering death to your life by chasing the product, by chasing the promise without going through the process. So this season is all about the looking glass, family. And the reason that I felt moved to share this with you all this morning and kind of have this transparency with you all is because I know that this word is not for me. All in my sleep, God was poking at me, make sure that you share this word. And I'm like, I don't necessarily want everybody to know that's what I'm going through, Lord. What if I want to keep that to myself? And God is like, but your life is not your own. You have a purpose, and your purpose is to glorify me. And so if that means that you have to tell your business in order to help someone else or bless another one of my children, then you've got to do that. So when God began to really work with me even a few weeks back, and then even in my sleep, as he was really moving me to share this word with you all, this season that you're in is all about the looking glass. It's all about seeing your reflection. It's all about seeing those things in yourself that God is putting his finger on. Good morning, Miss Gina. And saying, okay, God, I accept that that's something that I need to work on. I accept that that's an area that you called me to change in my life. So now help me and change me. One of the things I love about Joyce Meyer, I was listening to one of her sermons the other day, and she said, we spend too much time saying, God, give me, and not enough time saying, God, make me. And I thought that was such a revelation, because in this season where some of us are frustrated because we're kind of just coasting, we're not falling backwards, but we're not really going forward, we just kind of are stagnant. It's all about the looking glass. It's all about your reflection. It's all about God, make me and mold me, and not God, give me and give me. And if you continue chasing the product, you continue chasing the prize, chasing the promise, you're not going to be able to see your reflection clearly, because in your mind, you're already ready for the promise. And until you can recognize, you know what, I'm actually not even ready for what I'm asking God for. See, until we can recognize and see our reflection in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm really not ready. Good morning, Sister Faith. You're not able to contain what you're praying for. And I know lately that's what I've been doing. I'm like, God, I'm not falling backwards, but I'm not moving forwards. What's going on? I'm ready. I'm ready for my next season. And God was like, no, you're not, because you have not even adequately seen your reflection in the mirror. You have not even adequately seen the things about you that I've been trying to show you need change. And so you're bypassing me because you're not even hearing me, and you're steady running after the prize, but you haven't even gone through the process. And so many of us right now are frustrated because we feel like we're stuck, and it's because we're running after the product. It's because we're constantly running ourselves ragged trying to get the promise, and we haven't even gone through the process. And one thing that I know is I've learned that I don't want to be out of order. I don't want to be out of alignment with God's plan, because sometimes God will give you what you're asking for to show you you're not ready for it. And when God has to correct you like that, it can be so frustrating. And in fact, it ministers more death to you, because now you're frustrated because you had to go through a heartbreak, or you've had to go through losing something to see that, hey, I really wasn't even ready for that. And so in this season, family, it's all about the looking glass. It's all about your reflection. What do you see when God is holding a mirror up in front of you? What are you seeing? Are you seeing the things that God is calling you to work on? Are you teachable? Are you humble enough to say, yeah, you know what, Lord, I actually really do need help in that area? Or that is something that I really need to work on. Before I get to praying about the prize, before I get to praying about the product, and before I get to asking you to give me my promise before I'm ready. The prodigal son did this, family. He thought he was so ready for his inheritance. So he began badgering, worrying his daddy to death. In fact, he wanted his inheritance so much that he told his daddy, I wish you would die so I could go ahead and get my inheritance, so I could go ahead and get my promise. I want my promise. And so the father gave it to him to show him, you ain't ready. You can't handle it. And so what happened? The prodigal son got his inheritance, and he went out and he spent it on loose women, and he lost all of it. And when he came, the Bible says he came to himself. And this is what I love. God will not, he'll show you that you're not ready for something, but then he'll give you redemption, and he'll give you the chance to go through the process again. And so the prodigal son, the Bible says, when he came to himself, which means when he realized, oh, you know what, I wasn't ready, then he said, I should go back to my Father, and I will humble myself and make myself as one of his servants. So when God shows you that you're not ready, that means you need to humble yourself and say, God, make me what I'm supposed to be, and don't give me. We spend too much time saying, God, give me this. God, give me my husband. Give me my promotion. I'm ready for my next season. Give me, without no thought to, are we ready? Without any thought to, God, am I really ready for what I'm asking you for? And then God will give us what we're asking for, and we will make a complete mess out of it. We will end up trashing what should have been the promise because we weren't ready, family. So this season is all about the looking glass. This season is all about your reflection. You might feel stagnant and you may feel frustrated, but that's an indication that God is holding up the looking glass in your face and saying, look at it. What are you seeing? And God is trying to show you that before he can move you to your next season, there are still some things here in this season that you need to be working on. He's trying to get your attention so that you can work on these things now, because when you get to the promise, there's not going to be time for you to try to work out the kinks and work out the character flaws and build up the character that you need and the integrity that you need and the endurance that you need for that thing. Because what God has for you is so big that who you are and where you are right now cannot hold where you're going and what God has for you. So we've got to, when we find ourselves frustrated because we feel like we're just coasting and we're not going nowhere, we got to say, okay, God, what am I not seeing? First thing you need to do is ask God to open your eyes so that you can see what's in the looking glass. Even last week, y'all, when I was feeling like this, I was so frustrated. I'm like, God, what's going on? Because I'm not exactly like going back where I used to be, but I'm also kind of stuck. And it can be really frustrating because you feel like you're doing something wrong. And it doesn't even have to be that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes God will leave you sitting in the season stagnant and be quiet because he's trying to show you when you're ready to see it. There's something that you haven't worked on yet. I know you made a lot of progress and I know we've done a lot of changing, but there's still something that I got to work out of you before I can move you forward. There is still something that I'm trying to work on with you before I move you forward. Because if you move forward in your next season and this thing is still there, it's not going to work. It's going to mess you up. It's going to minister death. It's going to kill the promise off. So we got to say, okay, what is it that God wants me to see? Yes, I am. What is it that God wants me to see where I'm at? What is God trying to show me through the looking glass and through my reflection? And we have to say, you know what? There is something that still needs work. What do I see when I look at myself? Whether it be selfishness, whether it be bitterness that you still haven't released from your past, whether it be people that you have not forgiven, whether it be past hurts and past pains and soul ties that God is trying to break and get out of you, whether it be your health, like me and Sister Faith are talking about right now. I still got to work on my health. I started walking 30 days ago and I'm still at it, and it's still a process because there are still days where I don't feel well. Like last week, I was sick all last week fighting the flu and bronchitis, and so now that I'm back walking, because I did have to take last week off, it's like, man, I still realize I still got a way to go. Just because I've been at it for a few months doesn't mean that I'm changed, and doesn't mean that I can say that my health has completely improved. You know, just because you've been at it for a while, family, doesn't mean that you've necessarily built the character that you need in order to move to the next season. So this season is about the looking glass. What do you see? What is God showing you about yourself that still needs some work? Because when I really stopped and God said, you're stuck because you ain't finished in this season, I was like, that's not right. I've changed a lot, God. I've come a mighty long way from where I was even 2.5 years ago before I really started serving you. And God is like, you're right. And I'm not going to take that from you because I know you're my daughter. I know where you used to be. And I got to say that you've done some amazing work, and that you really served me and you've been faithful, and I've brought you a mighty long way. But that doesn't mean that I'm done in this season. It doesn't mean that in this season you come as far as you need to. You've come a real long way, but you haven't come as far as you need to be ready for where I'm taking you next. So I know it's frustrating, family. I know we don't like our reflections. We want to be a mirror for everybody else. Ooh, girl, God told me that you need to work on your attitude. Ooh, girl, God told me that your husband is coming, but you got to get this together first. Ooh, yeah, brother, God told me that your wife is coming. You got to do this. And girl, you just got to work on your mouth. And yo, this, and that. And God is like, cool, you're telling everybody else what they need to do, but what about you? Do you see what I'm trying to show you about you? Can you see your own reflection? And that takes humility, y'all. We have to be humble in order to see our own reflection, because pride will say, ain't nothing wrong with me. I done came a long way. God, I'm ready. You just think you sometimes we want to tell God that he's not seeing us correctly. And sometimes God is like, when you done, let me know, because I know you. I formed you. I know you inside out. I know the things that's going on the inside of you that you have not even seen yet, because you won't close your mouth long enough to hear me tell you that this is wrong. I know the things that are on the inside of you that you think you're over, and you're really not over. I know the things on the inside of you that are going to come up 5 years from now, and you have no idea that it's even going to come up, and I'm trying to work on it now. So 5 years from now, when you're married and you're in your relationship or whatever, your husband, you can submit to him because you took the time to work out that rebellious Jezebel spirit on the inside of you that said, ain't no man gonna tell me what to do. Come on, family. God knows us. He formed us from the womb. He knew us. He called our very name in the womb. When your mama didn't even know she was going to name you, God had already called your name, and he had already put a plan on your life, and he had already predestined you for something. Don't you think he knows what he's talking about when he says, work on this? You may not even see it. And that's why we have to intentionally say, you know what, Lord, I cannot see myself in the looking glass. So open my eyes, Lord, so that I see what you're showing me about me, so that you and I can work on this and I can get it right. I had to stop and say, okay, Lord, what do you see that I don't see? And show me what it is about me that you see in this season in the looking glass in the mirror, so that I can humble myself and I can ask for your help in this area. And when God shows it to you and he says, okay, you got to work on this, you got to work on that, you can say, okay, Lord, yeah, I can see that. Instead of fighting with God, and saying, no, God, I'm good. God had to show me there are some things that I'm still dealing with from when I was little that I had no clue about, because sometimes we can suppress things so much. We can convince ourselves that we're over things. We can convince ourselves that we're over our first heartbreak. We can convince ourselves that we're over the one that we thought was the one. We can convince ourselves that our attitude is not bad anymore. We can convince ourselves that we've done so much work and so much change, and so we can bury things, and you think that you're delivered and it's really just dormant. And God said, no, there's still issues from when you were 18 that I need you to work on. There's still issues from last year I need you to work on. There are still things from when you were 5, 6, 7, and 8 that you need to work on, that you don't see because you've suppressed them. And that's why when God holds that looking glass up in front of our face, family, and God says, listen, we got to work on this, you have to ask God to show you what he sees. And then ask him, Lord, okay, help me. Make me what I need to be. Help me, show me what you're seeing, so that I can see it, so that I can accept that I need to work on it, and so that I can go to work on it with you. So this season, family, is all about the looking glass. It's all about your reflection. It's all about letting God show you what you need to work on and what needs fixing and healing and changing in you before he can move you to the next level. I love you, family. Good morning. Good Saturday morning. I pray that you're blessed. I pray that you have an awesome day. And my prayer for you is that you will humble yourselves under the mighty hand of the Lord, that you would make yourself available to see what God sees, that you would ask God, God, show me what you see about me that I'm not seeing. Because pride will have you feeling like you're good and you're not. Pride will have you feeling like you've changed and you haven't. Pride will have you feeling like you're healed and delivered and you're not. Pride will have you feeling like you really don't need no work. It's everybody around you that needs work. And God is like, but no, The reason why you're stuck and you're feeling frustrated is because there are things that you need to work on about yourself that I've been trying to show you, and you don't see it. And if you don't work on it, you're not moving forward. I will not let you go to your next season holding on to this stuff, still dealing with this stuff. We need to work on it. So this season is about the Looking Glass family. It's time to see your reflection. It's time to ask God, okay, what is it about me that needs to be fixed, that's keeping me stuck? And then let God work on you and make you what he needs you to be so he can move you to your next season. Love you guys. Have a great day, family.